What's changed between the first film and this one that has allowed Karen to not shave her head?
Well, we have some improved technologies for some of the makeup. The biggest one was actually not Karen, which allowed her not to shave her head. The biggest one was Drax, because it took him 5 hours to get his makeup on every day on the first one. In this one, it took him an hour and a half, which meant it took him less time to get ready than it did Chris Pratt, believe it or not.
Wow.
Karen, we used makeup that was better, fit better to her head, but at the same time, we also would have to take off part of the back of her head with CGI at times. So we had a slightly bigger budget to be able to do little things like that. So when it would get kind of bumpy in the back and she'd look like a cone head, we'd shave it down with visual effects.
Was there anything that you were able to do this time that you couldn't do last time?
Well, I was pretty fortunate last time. I was able to do what I could imagine, but I think I learned the value of having the money this time around. And so I took a lot more time to get shots right. I took a lot more time to get performances right. There are times when I would have Kurt Russell say a line 50 times. That's not abnormal at all for me, because I just wanted to get the performances as good as possible. And I think that's one of the reasons why the performances are better in this movie than the first one.
Another fan question then, what is Peter's t-shirt? What does it say?
Well, I always say Yeehaw Beachy, because that's what it looks like to me. But what it actually said is Gear Shift, which is a candy that he was eating on the first movie. So Peter's really into candy. If you look around the Milano, there's always candy wrappers everywhere. He loves eating candy, and that's a T-shirt of his favorite candy brand.
And it's now for sale in Forbidden Planet. I've seen it.
It's everywhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The planet names, they appear on the screen. There's also a bunch of data underneath it as well. Is that random, or is there any specific information hidden in there?
Well, those are different coordinates for different parts of the galaxy, for wherever the planets are.
It's not your job to figure them out, though, I guess, or do you?
No, it's my job to put them in there. Yeah, I put them in there. Yeah.
I've spoken to Kurt, and
I'm sorry.
And there's amazing visual effects work done with him.
Yeah.
How was that achieved? He says quite a lot of it is just makeup and not as much visual.
Well, I think a lot of it's makeup, and then a lot of it is, then we have a lot of really talented visual effects artists who, from a company called Luma, who specialize in, age. They can age people up, age people down, and that's how we did that opening sequence.
And was there a specific Kurt Russell film that you used as a reference?
Basically, we used him from Used Cars era, is what we thought. He's a bit older than Meredith Quill in the beginning of the movie.
We see the Yondu and Rocket and Kraglin, they go through a series of gates, and that to me feels like there's probably a lot of Easter eggs in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs in that.
Yeah. I mean, are we talking references to future Marvel films in there without giving too much away?
Not so much reference. Yeah, there is one reference to a future Marvel film for sure, and they're a pretty fun one, yeah. And one in the not too distant future. And then we have other planets in there. You can see what the names of them are. And then we have other things that are just fun, crazy, little bits.
And in the end credit scenes, we get snippets of characters dancing.
Yes.
One of them was Grandpa Quill.
Yes.
But he's not in the film. Or have I missed something?
You might have missed something.
Was he in it more, perhaps?
Yeah, he was in it a little more, and we cut him down because it was too much stuff in a certain section. But he's still in the film, yeah.
There's the museum stuff that I know you've talked about before as well. Is that something that didn't make it to there?
The street?
Yeah, well...
There is a street in the movie, but that street used to have a ton of stuff in it, a ton of Easter eggs.
Right.
And I cut almost all of it from the movie, so it's and cameos. So it was a bummer that's the thing I cut, because I had to cut some of my closest friends from their cameos in the movie.
I'd like to quickly talk about Sylvester Stallone's character. For anyone sort of coming to this, what's the significance of his character Stakar, and why does it have to be Sylvester Stallone playing him?
Well, I think, this is a character who we see in his first scene is going up hard against Michael Rooker. And as you know, Michael Rooker's an intense actor. He's a powerful guy. And you need to have somebody who is going to sort of, cut him down to size. And I don't think there are too many actors that can do that besides Sylvester Stallone. And he's an incredibly powerful guy. He's an icon. And I don't think that there's too many people that could have that sort of, power over Rooker.
What can you tell us about deleted scenes in this film? Like, what can we look forward to?
Honestly, we don't have that many deleted scenes. Pretty much the movie stayed pretty consistent from the beginning to the end. We do have a great statue scene that I like a lot, where Kurt Russell, Peter Quill, and the gang are first on Ego's planet, and he shows them this statue that he's made of Peter and the gang. That's incredibly funny, and I liked the scene a lot. But it was just a joke scene that didn't forward the plot at all. And every other scene in the movie pretty much forwards the plot in some way.
What were the most sort of difficult visual effects for you to sort of bring to life?
Definitely the opening dance sequence with Baby Groot is pretty intense. That's one long shot. It took 2 years of planning and to put it all together, and it took a long time and a lot of work and a lot of people. So that's a big one. Ego's planet was very difficult. Because it's over 500 billion polygons in just Ego's planet. So that's an amazingly enormous and complex visual effects set. And frankly, when Ego is telling his origin story to Peter and the gang, and we have those porcelain statues, that was a very long journey. I kept changing what those guys were. We kept trying to figure out, we worked with a company called Animalogic on that, and we kept kind of changing exactly what those things were. And I really love where we ended up at. And I owe Animalogic a big debt of thanks for putting up with a lot of changes, which normally we don't change things that much. We kind of stay consistent.